The first thing that I'm going to say when it comes to being an unattractive friend, you have to realize it's not always how other people think about you, but it's also how you think about yourself. And when it comes to being an unattractive friend, it's not always physically, but it's also mentally. Because you have to realize that in order to not take care of yourself, it's because you say that other people look better than me, I don't want to put in as much effort, that because someone else is making extra effort, you don't want to put in effort as well. And that's why you may be unattractive to someone else, because someone else is willing to do a little bit more effort than you. I'm going to say a few things, and it's up to you how you want to take it. You have to realize that it's going to affect your self-esteem. And you don't want it to be that you don't want to leave your house because you're not taking care of yourself. You realize that the friends you have, they're either popular, they're funny, they're smart. But then when you look at yourself, you don't know what it is that you are. But then that's the thing, you need to start figuring out who you really are. Because you could have all of those qualities, but you don't actually hear people tell you that. And I wanted to say, you could have so many qualities, but then people don't tell you that because they think you already know. In order to be attractive, it just means that you need to be confident. And you have to realize for people that may not see themselves as attractive, that's why you need to start working on your confidence. You need to work on your personality. And it's not really just about looks, but you have to be able to socialize with people. If you're not socializing with people and you're always in the corner, you realize that people won't know what it is that you like. And you don't want it to be that whenever you enter a room that you're so forgotten. Because you want it to be that every room that you go into, you at least make some type of impact. And for example, when people have conversations with you, you want it to be that they look forward to it. So you have to realize when it comes to being an unattractive friend, it's because you're insecure and other people can see that. But then also when people are attractive, they may be insecure, but people don't see that. When someone is attractive, they are insecure. It's just that other people don't see that. And for example, whenever you get a spot on your face, you realize you're not taking care of yourself. And for example, your clothes don't really fit you, but then also your skin is not clear. You realize that you lost your voice, that your voice isn't really as loud as it is other times. And when it comes to someone not being attractive, they are insecure, but other people can see that. When you look at your friends and you see they're better looking, it's because you start naturally comparing yourself to them. And when they tell you about their experiences with like women, for example, because I'm speaking from like a guy's perspective, I'm going to talk about my experience of being an unattractive friend. Sometimes you feel left out because when it comes to your friends, they have conversations, but you're not really included. And you're only included when you invite yourself in the conversation. And I wanted to say that when you're an unattractive friend, some people may not even look your way, but that's really okay because instead you need to work on your social skills, because I wasn't always social. And it's only when I decided to change that I became more social. I'm attracting new people to my life as well. And I'm really proud of myself for actually becoming social. Because the thing is, you're not always shy. It's just that you're quiet or you're very introverted. And people sometimes don't really know what it is that you want because you don't really say it. And you may think you're saying it, but other people don't really hear you say it. And I wanted to say that when it comes to communication, you have to realize it's two ways. Because the person that you're talking to, are they really paying attention to you? So I don't know if you heard this film called Duff. And for example, in this film back in 2015, they were talking about how every friendship group has an ugly friend, like a designated ugly fat friend. Not everyone that's classed as unattractive is actually unattractive. It's just little things that people can do to improve their looks. But then also you have to realize that it depends on how you really take that. When it comes to looking at things objectively, where your friends are taller, your friends are older than you have to realize that some people, especially women, they may not like the guys that are their age. They may like a guy that is a lot older, and they may like a guy with facial hair, a guy that's taller, a guy that's more muscular. Sometimes you have to realize that because you're in a lean shape, I'm saying this because when it comes to being lean, it really shows off your facial features. It really shows off your jawline. It really shows your hair, that you start to take care of your hair better. And clothes seem to fit you much better. But when it comes to Duff, you have to realize that they really emphasize how every single friendship group has a different clique. So for example, there's the funny friend, the popular friend, the smart friend, the friend that wants to keep to themselves. I wanted to say that if you're the friend where everyone goes to just have a conversation with you about your other friends, but no one's really talking about what you want, and they're not trying to get to know you at all, you don't want it to be that people are using you. So that's where you need to have boundaries. You need to realize that not everyone is going to be your friend. And don't be a person where you're people pleasing and you're trying to attract everyone. Because no matter how many nice things you do for people, there's always going to be someone that takes advantage of that. And when you start comparing yourself to other people, you realize that when you actually get to know those people, they want to be more like you because you have a life of your own. But then if you're approaching people and no one's talking to you, then that's really a clear sign that every single person you're approaching, they don't want to be near you. It's because you're not taking care of the basics. So for example, you have bad hygiene, your teeth is yellow, you have bad smells, and you have to realize some people actually fear being around other people that smell bad. And I don't know where I heard this, but someone that's stuck in a room with someone that smells bad, you realize that they would rather be by themselves, and who knows, they would rather be by themselves, stay single forever, than be stuck in a room with someone that smells. So that's what I'm going to say, because when it comes to being unattractive, it's because you're not taking care of the basics. Like for example, I used to be teased for really my hairline, and it wasn't because I was like teased because of the person that I was, but it's because I wasn't taking care of my hairline. And that used to bother me as well, because when it came to my hairline, people used to call me triangle because my hairline was like an upside down triangle. And I'll let you picture that for a second. Because when it comes to taking care of yourself, you realize the things that you can control to just take care of it. So the things you can control, such as my hairline, you need to start taking care of it. And you don't want it to be that you're so insecure that because some people have a smaller forehead, that you don't want to be like changing your hairline shape, you might accidentally push your hairline back. So that's what I'm going to say, because when you're so obsessed with how someone else looks, you realize that A, you don't look the same as that person, but B, you don't actually know that person in real life, or you're not with that person like 24/7. You have to realize that you're not really as unattractive as you really think. And when you are attractive, it's because you're confident in yourself, and you realize that when people don't like you, you have to realize that by working on little things, such as your clothing style, your hair, and really having clear skin, because you have to realize when people look at you, they look at your face first. So working on little things such as your confidence, your personality, your social circle, your social skills, because you don't want it to be that you're wasting so much time worrying about how other people think about you when you can be spending more time working on yourself. And I wanted to say, for anyone that's in a friendship group where all your friends are in relationships, but you're the one that's single, you have to realize it's because of your high standards. It could be that your friends are in a different location. It could be their age. It could be the way they look. Like for example, your friends could be way taller, but then because they're way taller, more people are going to look at them. The reason why I talked about height in this video, because other people, they may not date someone else if their height was a lot shorter than someone else. For example, a guy may not care about how tall a girl is, but then when it comes to being the shorter guy, you need to be the one that's carrying the conversation. So for example, if you're the shorter guy, you need to start focusing on who you're having conversations with, leading the conversation, and realizing where is it that you want the conversation to go. And this is very important, to make your intentions known. You wouldn't want it to be that you're just friends with the people that you're talking to, even though you want to be more than friends. I'm saying this, for example, to the guys, because you wouldn't want it to be that you're friends with a girl, but then you want to be more than friends, but then you get jealous that they're with someone else, because one, they didn't really know that you like them, but then two, you never really made it clear. It depends on how you think about yourself, and it depends on what you say to other people. Because some things that you do or some things that you say, it can give people the ick. And the thing is, when it comes to icks, it may be something that people can't change. You have to realize some people always have these icks, and you don't know until you actually speak to someone. But then also something that you did could have given them the ick. They completely see you as a different person now. So that's why you have to start being mindful of what it is that you're doing, but then also mindful of what it is that you're saying. And the thing is, I'm not saying that you need to use a pickup line for every single person that you're talking to, but you have to realize that when you're talking to someone, it's just asking them questions, and you need to be the person that's listening to them, so that the questions that you're asking are more thoughtful. It makes them actually think, and it makes them even think about you, because not everyone knows how to have a conversation. And you realize people like talking about themselves, and then they get carried away, and then they're always talking about themselves. As a guy, you may realize that the girls that you're trying to talk to, which are your age, they seem to like the older guys. But then when you look objectively, you realize that they have facial hair, they're a lot taller, they have their own place. And you have to realize that if you don't have that right now, it just means that you have to accept that. But then also you need to work on yourself so that in the future you have that. And I feel like this is the reality for most people. You can't really escape this, but what you can do is control your appearance, you can control your environment. And if you realize the people around you aren't really changing, you realize that it can hold you back. And I wanted to say as well that your friends that are in relationships, it's because it's in their location, it could be the people that they're talking to, and it happens to be that they're talking to a few people, and it's more about what they say, and it's more about how they take care of themselves. But then when it comes to you, you have to realize that you're not living in the same places as your friends, but then also you don't look the same as your friends. And when it comes to your friends, you think you're not getting results because of what you're saying or what you're doing. When it comes to you not looking the same as your friends, you have to realize that you need to work with what you got, but then also do everything you can to try something new, go to new places. Because when you go to new places, you're seeing how other people are living, and you realize that the friends that are with you now, some of them don't even treat you nicely. And when you go somewhere else, you're going to meet people that are much better for you. And you have to realize not every single person is a bad person. It's just that sometimes you grow apart, sometimes you're not really aligned. And you have to realize that you're not aligned with what path you want to go to in terms of your life. And the last thing that I'm going to say, that when it comes to being unattractive, you have to realize that it's really up to you, and it really depends on your environment. But then also, you don't want to be the unattractive friend forever. Because if you realize that you're the unattractive friend in your friend group, you have to make sure that you're observing your friends, you analyze what it is that they're doing, and you're the one that gets to see your friend move from one relationship to another. So you have to realize that just because of social media and just because your friend may have the life that you want, it doesn't mean get jealous, because you don't know how long it took them to get to that stage. And you have to realize that, for example, your friends are in a happy relationship. You have to realize they had to have so many failed relationships in their past, and they did learn a valuable lesson from it, but then also you learn a valuable lesson as well, because you have to realize that everyone has things that are meant for them, but then you have to realize that things do take time. And if everything you wanted was given to you straight away, one, you'll never really appreciate it, but then two, you become complacent, and you don't want to get too comfortable, because when you're too comfortable, it means that when things are changing, it's going to bother you so much that you don't change at all. So that's all I got to say. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you again soon. And if you're new, you can like, comment and subscribe, and let me know your experience, because the thing is, not everyone is unattractive and not everyone is a bad person, but you have to realize that you have to focus on yourself and to not compare yourself to someone else. So until another video, I'll see you again soon.